This water is life for us and for all the wildlife around us.
Florida's climate is unique.
The fishing is excellent along the Anclote River. It's a beautiful natural waterway. I do this every day. I'm Jerry Baden, and I'm president of the Anclote Point Town Homeowners Association. We live in harmony with these animals, and the birds are spectacular.
If you're a new resident, you will quickly realize the plants you loved back home don't work well in Florida's sandy soils.
I'm Diane Toussaint, originally from Rhode Island, but we moved to Florida back in '89 and lived in South Florida for 12 years. The soil is a lot sandier here, and there's more of a mix here. South Florida was very tropical, and so we did a lot of tropical planting there, and I'm discovering that as we have cold fronts that come through here, that tropical planting is a little more difficult.
And maintaining these plants takes a lot of water, which can get expensive. In Florida, as much as 50% of household water use is applied to the landscape.
You're looking at 6 units of our complex, and here we took out turf in front of the buildings, as you can see, and with the advice of Pinellas County Extension Service, we installed Florida-friendly landscaping. We removed sprinkler heads and put in a micro-irrigation system. We were doing many things wrong, okay? The first was we had far too many sprinkler heads, and we were watering far too often, but I didn't know this, so I had to learn about it.
As a homeowner, by planting with plants that will do well with little or no water, I'm saving money by not having such high water bills.
We started installing native plants when possible, and if not native plants, then we put in plants that were salt tolerant, drought tolerant, Florida friendly.
The good news is you don't have to be an expert to have a beautiful yard that saves water and protects the environment.
We got the residents involved, and we said, listen, this is what we want to do. We want to be Florida friendly. Everything we do now has to be Florida friendly. And they kind of looked at me like, well, you know, we don't want to do this. And then when I showed them the dollar figures, the water bill started dropping. First it was $3,000, then it was $2,000. Our last water bill was $1,300. We went from $4,000 in the beginning to today, $1,300. And if you don't think these people are Florida friendly conscious, just ask any one of them and they'll tell you, oh yeah, we're going to do that.
A few years back, the legislation was introduced that allows homeowners to use Florida-friendly plantings, and that it really has an impact in a community like ours where we have deed restrictions. So we had to educate the public on what it means to be Florida-friendly. So we organized a Florida-friendly day over in the county park that we have here in Villa Rosa and invited all of the neighbors to come and see. And we had workshops that day. We had talks on the 9 principles of Florida-friendly landscaping, on irrigation, and also on butterfly gardening.
The 9 Florida-friendly landscaping principles are right plant, right place, water efficiently, fertilize appropriately, mulch, attract wildlife, manage yard pests responsibly, recycle, reduce stormwater runoff, protect the waterfront. Communities and landscape professionals are embracing Florida-friendly landscaping practices that conserve water.
My name is Tony Morrow. I'm with Cornerstone Solutions Group, and we are the landscape maintenance contractor for Villa Rosa. The landscape beds add some curb appeal to every home that's in this cul-de-sac, and there are 24 of these cul-de-sacs. We've dressed every bed up. I think the homeowners here will come out and contribute to the maintenance of them. I've seen them do that. And it just makes it a little more pleasant for everybody. Typically, landscape islands had a lot of turf areas in them and some plants that didn't belong in those locations. There was a high requirement for fertilizer, for insecticides, and for water. We've tried to minimize that by putting Florida-friendly practices in place. We use the right plant in the right location, minimize the amount of water, and minimize the amount of fertilizer that's applied.
And if not landscaped properly, yards may be overwatered and over-fertilized, which can cause water pollution.
We don't want to damage our naturally beautiful environment.
I don't want to have to use a lot of fertilizer because in our home here, we back up to a cypress swamp. And I don't want the chemicals of the fertilization going into the cypress swamp and harming it in any way. So we are trying to protect the environment by being careful with fertilization and keeping fertilizer away from the water sources.
It's important to reduce the amount of fertilizer that we apply to minimize the impact on our water supplies.
It helps to protect the environment, it helps to save water, and you can have such a beautiful yard using plants that are Florida friendly.
We live in what I consider a paradise. It's just a beautiful spot. It's like living in a nature preserve.
And the plants just add so much beauty to the yard. It brings me such joy to see the flowers in bloom, to see the butterflies flying around the yard, to see the birds coming in and feeding.
Florida's water supply is limited, and it's important that we all do our part to conserve. Free expert advice is available through your local county extension office.
I just love sitting on the patio and just watching all of nature.
To find out more, visit our website at watermatters.org/yards.